Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind podcast, built for real estate professionals that want to work less, earn more, and make an impact in their community. For information on how you can become part of the estate professionals community, visit probatemastery.com. Welcome in. If you don't know, this is our weekly Estate Professionals Mastermind Zoom call, coaching call, and podcast. It gets published over on our YouTube Probate Mastery YouTube channel, or on Estate Professionals Mastermind if you like listening on a podcast platform. So every single one of these gets published along with some other calls that we frequently do. And I am going to start this week by looking for Lou. I don't know if Lou is here or not. There's Lou.
Yeah.
Hey, Lou, do you have the ability to show your screen with sound?
Yes.
I don't know if you're in a position to show it with sound. I want to start this week by just sort of teasing some pretty cool things that are available, and we're not going to go into tons and tons of detail on these, but it is an opportunity for those of you that are looking to create content for your businesses. Is an opportunity to kind of show you some of the things that are coming around the corner here that you guys may be able to incorporate into your business. So, Lou, do you have that video of me with the green sweater, or do I need to send it to you?
Probably be best if you sent it to me.
All right, I am going to try to locate it here real quick and send it to you. So I've been experimenting here recently with creating a digital clone of myself that I can feed a script to and try to create some content. And I've been quite impressed with some of the results. So I'm going to show you guys. At this point, I've been kind of playing with this, dabbling a little bit at a time each day with this for the majority of the week since Thursday last week. And I've created 3 clones. One clone is a phenomenal script reader, but has some jerky hand movements. Another clone is a much cleaner version with hand movements, and hard to tell that it's not me, but it does not have it's not the best script reader. So we're kind of dialing this thing in, and I just want you guys to see some of the pretty cool things that we can use when we're creating content. All right, and with that said, I'm kicking this thing over to Lou right now, and check your Slack messages, Lou, and then I'll have him share hosting or share a screen with some sound in a second, and then we'll open it up to you guys. Ask any questions that you want to ask. If anyone's doing anything with AI clones for your video content, please share your experiences with the group. But I'm just getting into it, and holy crap, it's really impressive, some of the things that we can do. And while Lou is pulling that up, I'm going to go on. Oh, there we go. Okay, Lou's got it up. This is my AI clone. So this is the one with a pretty fluid script reading. It's got some jerky hand movements. So I've fixed the hand movements in the last version, but the script that I gave it was a little bit sounded just like me. It just landed flat on a couple of things that needed some emphasis. So we'll have Lou play this, and then we'll open it up to questions and comments.
A student of mine in Texas closes over 40 probate deals a year. You know what his entire lead generation strategy costs him? Stamps and envelopes. Meanwhile, I talk to agents every week who are convinced they need to spend thousands of dollars a month on lead services before they can even get started in probate. That's just not how this works. In this video, I'm going to break down every way to get probate leads. Free methods, paid services, attorney referrals, direct mail, all of it. I'll give you the real cost, from a few dollars a month all the way up to $35 per lead if you want to fully automate everything. And I'll tell you what actually matters more than the leads themselves. I'm Bruce Hill with Probate Mastery. Let's get into it.
All right, so Lou, you can take that down. who else has anyone else experimented and played around with clones? And if it wasn't for a little bit of lag on the internet, which was mostly on Lou's side, not too bad, and some weird hand movements, who would have known that that was a clone, that that wasn't me? I'm sure there's going to be some people that are like, that's really obvious. I'd turn that off right away. But would anyone stay and watch that video if it popped up on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. Not you. What if I said in the beginning of the video, hey, I'm Bruce Hill. Bruce Hill with Probate Mastery's AI clone. And here's what this video is about. Would honesty from the clone itself have helped if it wouldn't have been you, if you wouldn't have stayed? Would the honesty about it being a clone itself might have intrigued you enough to stick around and watch a little bit? And the answer may be no. I'm literally polling the room because I think it's important that we all have some input here. And this is the future. This is only going to get better. This is only going to get better as time goes on. I could see in a year or two people not being able to tell the difference where some of us may be able to tell the difference. Lou, what do you got?
Yeah, a few comments in the chat from Hector. Which app are you using for the clone?
Yeah, so we're doing two things. That version of my clone was called HeyGen, HeyGen. HeyGen's been around for a couple of years. I think it's just started to get really, really good here recently. But HeyGen, and then I found that HeyGen's voice cloning is okay. It's not great. It's not phenomenal. So on that version, that was HeyGen's built-in voice cloning. I actually built a new voice clone in a system called 11 Labs. 11 Labs. And then I merged the two together. So my most recent video, it has much higher voice cloning accuracy. It sounds just like me. And then I just kind of put the two together. I didn't show you guys that video because it's missing some of the tone. By the way, who knows who I was talking about with the person that was closing over 40 probates in Texas using stamps and envelopes? Does anyone know who that might be?
Is it Dave? Dave?
Dave Pinnell's raising his hand.
Yeah, Dave, you know who that's going to be, David. But basically, everything about that was generated using AI. I went into Claude, which is my favorite GPT app. I like it much better than ChatGPT and Grok and the different ones. And I've trained it over time, but I essentially said, hey, look, I need to create content in the probate space. And I've actually done this as an agent to the public that's going through probate. So we've created content for the public that's in the middle of probate to try to generate leads back to me. That video that you happen to watch was just the intro of a video that I created with Claude aimed toward real estate agents and investors. So I went in there and I essentially told it, look, I want to create a 15 to 20 minute long video, and I want it fully scripted so that I can feed it to HeyGen. So fully script, just give me a script that I can give to HeyGen, and I want it to be laced with these keywords. And then when you've given me the script, I want you to write a 2,000 word blog and put video inserts in it. And it gave me a video that's probably going to be approximately 18 minutes long. That's an estimate right now. And then I've just been taking little clips of it and feeding it into my avatar, trying to get each individual short 30 to 60-second clip nailed. So we're essentially, what we're doing is we're kind of piecemealing it together, going, hey, let's get this 50 seconds really good. Then let's move to the next 50 seconds. Now, could I sit down and record the whole thing faster than it's taking me to do this first video? Absolutely. But our goal is kind of learning how to be able to essentially have videos produced teaching the probate process while I sleep. so that I don't have to go create videos and I don't have to get my lighting right and I don't have to worry about my audio being hooked up. All I have to do is pop my prompts into Claude, create a video, feed the scripts into HeyGen, and produce a what should be high quality video. So we're still in the middle of it right now. But for those that are super interested in creating quality content that's a lead generator, there you go. There you go. Other questions or anything?
There are just a few comments that, some could tell, others not really. Let's see the most recent one. Only those who use AI are most likely to tell if it's a clone. Your voice and pace is perfect for AI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the hand gestures and the eye movements were a little bit weird. I found when I first created my first clone that I wanted to talk the way that I normally do. And so if you guys can see me, I do this a lot. I look around a lot. I'll move my eyes up and to the right or to the left when I'm thinking about things. I look down, I fidget with my hands. I do a lot of those things naturally. I think they used to drive me crazy. I think that they are who I am at this point. So I've accepted those. And I wanted to show those movements and gestures with AI. The problem is it's basically just randomly inserting these eye rolls and lookaways and hand gestures randomly through. Like I count on my fingers a lot, and it's just randomly inserting those. It's trying to nail the mouth movement and the head position and the voice. That's what it's trying to nail. And so it'll be kind of nailing that and making it sound like me, and I'm counting on my fingers, but I'm not really delivering a 1, 2, 3 point process. So we had to go back and re-record the clone content with no hand movements. So it was really tough for me because I do a lot of expressions when I talk. So I just had to sit there for about 6 minutes and just talk dead on into the camera. And I moved my head a little bit, but I just kept my hands out of it and I kept the eye movements at a minimum. And that created such a good clone experience. And the voice sounds like me. It's just missing some of the some pacing things at this point. But this is after 3 6-minute videos that I've fed it. 3 6-minute videos is all we've done so far, and it's gotten it that close. So it's only going to get better. And for those that are falling behind on the content, I'm just going to encourage you, please lean into AI if you need that. All right. All right. So let's kind of move on. I told Bill that I would do this. I got to make sure that the dog's not digging up the backyard. So my camera's going off, and I'm going to ask Bill what he has going on, and then we're going to open it up. Any question, that's what we're here for. We're here to wrap through and talk about your probate business, everything from business planning to deal structure to call strategy to mailing campaigns to AI. So pop your hands up and let's get some conversation going. But I'm going to go to Bill first while I get the dog in, who's probably digging up the backyard.
Hey guys. Yeah, and I think the reason why he's doing this, just give you a little background for those who don't know me. I started as a student in this program 7 years ago, 6.5 years ago. And I've been a real estate agent, been a broker, been a coach, manager, went back to production full time in November 2019. And decided to go into the probate niche, took this course's predecessor, met Bruce along the way, and I've been involved with it ever since. I run a probate business. I do really well. I made really good money. I'm 67 years old. My plan was to retire at 65, but I'm making enough money now, and I'm not working that hard, to be honest, that I'm enjoying what I'm doing and feel good about it and building some wealth. So my focus, I'm in Los Angeles, California, is really on referral-based business. I would say that you want to climb the food chain as a real estate agent. You start off with leads, you start off with buyers, open houses, and probate, maybe you start off cold calling or mail. That's not to say you can't develop systems for that, but the goal is to get out of doing that work. If you can delegate to somebody effectively or cost effectively, in my case, referrals, I get referrals from attorneys, wealth managers, CPAs, real estate agents, and other areas. And I'm also trying to work on larger estates now, which are a little more complicated. So my specialty is on the knowledge of the probate space. That said, I'm glad to answer questions. on how to build your business. I'm glad to answer questions, particularly on working on getting referrals from attorneys, because that's really my focus 100%. I also have a YouTube channel, and that's the other part is I think it's really important, whatever you do in business today, that you leverage your time. And the way we can do that, these tools they've given us with video, I've chosen YouTube as my channel of choice. I have a YouTube channel at Bill Gross Probate. And I think it's as large as any other, I think it's larger than any other real estate probate channel in the business. Certainly the largest of any real estate agents. I'm not a coach. I don't get paid to coach. I don't sell data. I just sell houses and teach other agents along the way how to do it effectively. So I'm glad to take any questions. I don't see any in the chat box. If you want to raise your hand or have questions or if I can help with something, I'm glad to do that. And Bruce is back.
YouTube, Bill? Why YouTube? I'm here. I'm just kind of keeping my eye, just making sure that the house doesn't burn down.
I think that you have to pick first off, you have to pick a channel to do well at, and then you can do it at a second or third. YouTube is connected to Google for search. I think mostly it's an educational platform, meaning I do long form, do interviews and longer form content. And the idea is that I want to emphasize my strength, which is knowledge, experience, comfort in discussing things with attorneys. And as a result, that's the content I'm creating. And then I would also say, oftentimes I get a result where people say, well, we're interviewing 5 agents. And I say, great, call me back if I can help. And I'll send them my YouTube link and they'll look at that and they'll call me back and say, oh, I didn't realize you really are an expert in this field. The other 4 agents all said that, but they couldn't answer basic questions. But I see you interviewing attorneys, you really know this stuff. So that's why I picked YouTube and really wanted to dominate that channel. That's not to say you couldn't do the same thing in LinkedIn, I think would be my second choice, or other channels, but that's one that I picked for my particular group.
It's funny. Several years ago, Bill, and I'm going to bring it back to you, but several years ago, I was prospecting and talked to a gentleman who was a little bit abrasive, to say the least. And this is one of the reasons why I don't mind people, if I cold call them, being abrasive, because I know they're playing a character. This guy turned out in the long run to be one of my best clients ever.
Nice.
Super, super nice guy. He was pretty abrasive to me on the first conversation, hung up rather quickly. 5 minutes later, my phone rings and I was scared to answer it because I knew that I just talked to him and he was rude. And I went ahead and answered, and he said, I've got to apologize. He said, I get a lot of calls from a lot of people, and I just wanted to go check you out and see if you were legitimate before we had a conversation. I found your LinkedIn, and it looks great. You really do this, don't you? Yes, I really do this. I actually inherited 4 properties from my dad. Plus, I'm selling my primary residence in Cary, North Carolina for $1 million, and I'm moving to Banner Elk, North Carolina, and buying a house. So I got 5 listing deals out of that phone call where the guy was rude. Why? Because he went and found a platform, an asset that had been built that worked for me forever. So I want you guys to think about things like YouTube channels and LinkedIn channels and blogs and websites and even letter sequences or drip emails. I want you to think of those as an asset. When you've built it and you've put it into play, it will work for you while you sleep. It'll work for you while you sleep and for years to come. Most of us spend all our time chasing the conversation that we're having today, and that's how we're getting business. And one thing I can tell you with a cold call, if I have a conversation with someone today and they say, I'm going to sell a house, that's one single piece of business. If I put a YouTube video out there that people find, that might get me 15 or 20 pieces of business over the next 10 years. If it's decent and people want to watch it and it's about something that's relevant to them. I think you need a little bit of both, but please consider building assets for yourself that'll work for you while you sleep. And it's one of the major focuses we have in coaching. And it's certainly something that Bill's done a great job of, and he just told you why. How long have you been putting? I think you wanted to chime in. I'll ask a question if
go ahead.
not.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna ask how long you've been putting content up on YouTube.
I started when I started doing this business. I had a weekly call because I had been a coach, and so I just decided to continue to do like a weekly coaching call, and then I would just talk about what I'm doing. And I turned that into a podcast. I would just record it on Zoom and upload it. Initially, I did Facebook for a while, and that just didn't get the audience that I wanted. And I switched after about 6 months to YouTube. So I've been doing this now for about 5.5 years, weekly episodes. And then I've expanded to other interviews. And just to add it to a point to people, I started with, when like everybody else, you upload something, nobody watches it. I would email it and post it on my social media to get views. And I get 5, then 10, then 20, then 50, then 100, then 150, then 200, and it grew. Today, my YouTube channel averages over 100 hours of view time per day, 7 days a week. I work at most 8 hours a day, 4 days a week, and 4 hours on Friday and a couple on Sunday to catch up. But I don't work but 35 hours a week, and it's doing 100 hours of video a day. Now, I get video watching time is not as valuable as one-on-one time. It's not as valuable as phone call time, but it's worth something. And 100 hours, 7 days a week has been driving my business.
Mm-hmm.
And for referrals, especially because, every referral source you talk to, they want to have a social media presence. They just don't. They don't have the courage to do it. They don't have the tenacity. When I called them and offered to interview them, it was hard. It was a sales pitch to get people to come on. Nowadays, anybody who sees my YouTube channel before I talk to them, they're glad to come on. Any attorney, I don't care how much business they do. The top attorneys in LA, they've all been glad to come on.
And that's the thing. It does take a little bit of time. I refer to an agent, friend of mine, Amanda Williams. I'm not sure how many of you guys may know her. She was one of the first EXP agents. As a matter of fact, she and I both joined EXP back in 2017, like same month. We were the first agents in the Raleigh area with EXP. And I think I was maybe number 1700 or something like that. And she might have been 1701, and it might have been reverse. We were really early into that brokerage. And she tagged herself as a pretty new agent. And I'd already run a team and sold like 1,000 deals or something like that at that point. And she was a brand new agent. And she came in and she branded herself as Amanda, the traveling realtor, Amanda Williams. Amanda, the traveling realtor. And I have to tell you guys, I didn't think it was a very good name. Didn't think it was a very good way to brand yourself. Today, I still don't know that it's a great way to brand yourself, especially if you're trying to do real estate deals, because who wants to do deals with with an agent that's never in the local market? Because she's never, ever in the local market. But she stuck with that brand positioning for years. And today, she's got a huge organization inside of EXP. She sells a ton of houses. She has a bunch of spin-off businesses, extremely successful, not because she has the perfect brand positioning, but because she has consistent brand positioning. And that's where most people fail. Maybe you have the perfect idea and it's inconsistent. You're not going to get a lot of traction. Maybe you have an imperfect idea and you're consistent. You will always get better traction than the perfect position with inconsistent delivery.
I used to host an event in Beverly Hills monthly. She came out to that about 6 years ago. I met her then, and I met her some EXP events, and we had some colleagues who were in her downline. She also happens to be an amazing person. I think one of the things that it will do is help you leverage. I tell people, Amanda Williams has a huge following. Well, look at her, you meet her, her energy is contagious. She's a very dynamic, charismatic person. I'm me. I get 100 hours of view time on my YouTube channel. Look what I look like. I have a face for radio. So I'm just saying, but they're going to meet you at some point. You might as well, prepare them and go with it, and then put your best foot forward, which in my case, I think is my experience and knowledge. I'm not saying I'm hideous. I'm just saying nobody's going to do business with me because of my looks, but they will do business because of my experience. We all have those areas of expertise. We should be playing to those strengths.
Absolutely.
I see a couple hands, but I see Lakeisha had her hand up for a while.
Yeah, Lakeisha, go for it.
Hi, thank you. I guess I joined this community a couple of months ago. I'm a paralegal by training, and I'm starting to get some hits from attorneys that I know referring probate leads to me. What I'm finding, though, is that now I'm getting properties that need a lot of rehab. So they are not things that I think are good for the MLS. So I'm kind of stuck there what my next steps are. Do I need to start working with investors? Do I need to I don't know where I go from here when I get these properties that I'm looking at and going, well, are they good enough for the MLS or are they not? I need a strategy now for that part.
Ooh, can I answer that one?
Yeah, go for it.
So my specialty is properties that need court confirmation in LA County. And what it means is usually there's objectors or there's a litigation, and that way there's two attorneys, two sides. So one day I have a buyer who wants to buy a property that's listed for sale coming up. One of the requirements is that you have to market the property. The court process requires that in order to confirm the sale. And they'll look at the MLS and see if it's listed. So I called the attorney. I said, "Hey, I noticed this property is not listed for sale." And the attorney said to me, "Well, to be honest, the property is in such bad condition that it can't go in the MLS." So that's what the agent told me. I said, "Well, that's crazy. I am sure I've sold way worse houses than this. It was a condo. How bad could a condo be? You have neighbors on either side and above and below. How bad could it be in the condo?" And I said, "I assure you, it's not that bad." And sure enough, they had to get it listed because that was a requirement. And my investor bought it. All we did was we trashed it out. We had Molly maids come in and make it smell nice and cleaned it and flipped it. We put it back in the market within a week and made a lot of money on it. So the answer is, if it's priced right, everything will sell. You just have to price it for the condition the property's in.
Mm-hmm. I 1000% agree. And I think you need an investor network. So it's both. And you should position yourself with a source of hard money to be able to do some of these yourself from time to time. So if you're not really wanting to do anything yourself, and I'm talking to Lakeisha, but I'm really talking to the group because everyone's going to be in a different position. Some of you are like, I don't have the credit score. I don't have the risk tolerance. I don't know how to price a deal. There's always things that come up that might hold you back. But I think all of us need to get in a position where we can get access to the money if we don't have it in our bank account. Hard money, private lenders, partnerships. You could JV on a wholesale. Personally, I much prefer a listing approach versus a wholesale approach, but everybody's different. So be able to list. Our most recent offering is the estate cash offers platform. So estatecashoffers.com. And that's where we have over 25 investors that are typically institutional investors, not exclusively institutional, but typically institutional investors. And you pop the property address in and you tell the system how much work it needs, and it will generate anywhere from 5 to 15 offers for you within a few minutes. And then all you have to do is go finalize those offers. And several of them are for properties that need to be fixed up and flipped. Okay, so there's that option. You should join a RIA in your local community if you can. I'll show you guys the estate cash offers, or maybe Lou can show estate. I'll show it. So you might want to join a RIA and build out your network of investors. So Real Estate Investors Association. Join out your network of investors. If something legitimately shouldn't go on the MLS, which I would argue it could, price it right, you could take it to your new group of investors. So there's so many different ways to monetize these deals, but don't be afraid to put that property that needs some work. Don't be afraid to put it in the MLS. When I was doing foreclosures 15 years ago, I put some dogs in the MLS. Best deal we ever did. Unfortunately, I was restricted from buying this one. We put a property in the MLS for $3,000, and it was a VA, and the VA paid a $3,000 commission. So they literally gave this house away, listed it for $3,000 and paid a $3,000 commission. So there's so many different ways, and I wouldn't even be worried about the MLS.
Well, thank you for that. You mentioned the RIA before, so I am a member of NC RIA. Actually, I have a meeting tonight. And based on some other discussions, actually this morning when I was going to a listing client, I saw somebody rehabbing a house here. I went in, I stopped, I introduced myself, and I have their card. They do some flipping, so I'm gonna do some networking. I'm gonna drop some donuts over tomorrow and see what else I can find out. So I think I'm on the right path, and was very reassuring to hear throw it on the MLS. I like the idea of getting into investing. That's going to be another question that I probably will make an appointment with you. I don't know what, as a realtor holding my life, like I don't want to meet, if an attorney sends me a referral, I don't know if that's where I want to say I want to purchase this, but I think I am ready to get into purchasing some of my own deals and properties where I'm not um, the agent. I think I'm finally ready to pull the trigger.
Cool. Love it.
All right, thank
You
you.
guys see estate cash offers up here real quick. I'm going to do this lightning fast because I want to go to Gio and Jonathan. You guys see what's on my screen? We good? Okay. So log in. We're going to go into the system. I would add a property. This is under contract. I'm going to go find the first house that I actually put into the system. This was an estate in a really hot area of North Carolina. Anybody that knows the North Hills area knows that North Hills in Raleigh is highly desired. Like, look at this. This is a boarded up house. I am going to try to find my North Hills property. It should be the first one that I put in. But this house needed tons of work. It was not updated at all. And of course, everything's running a little bit slow because I've got Zoom going and too many apps. If you guys knew how many tabs I had open on my screen, you'd wonder how my computer is still running. So we're gonna jump in. Nah, it's not coming up. So we're gonna just grab this one. I thought it would be the first one on my screen. We're just gonna grab this property. This we put it in. We told the system what our commission was. We told the system what what the condition of the property was, how much money it needed, were there any other fees, and it kicked out these offers. So 391, a 246, a 340, a 340, 331, 338, 350, 335, 341, all on a AVM of 397. So all these offers kind of rolled in. Now, are they official? No, they all need to be solidified. So these are algorithm-based offers based on the buy boxes that the investors that are willing to buy a house like that in this market have said. They've essentially said, hey, if you bring me a house that's valued at 300, here's our buy box and our formula, and then the system generates the offer that the system thinks that they would make, and then you go to finalize it when you're ready, and you could put in whatever commission you want based on, I mean, make sure that you're legal. So if you have a listing agreement that says you get 2%, I wouldn't go in here and put it in at 8%. But if you don't have a listing agreement yet, you're using this to get an appointment or prospect, put in the commission that you want. I frequently put in 6% commissions to me if I'm using the system to prospect. All right, so this is a pretty cool platform that we just launched, and we're actively adding investors into it. We're about to add a buy and hold investor that's going to buy in 25 different states that will offer approximately 90% of market value and pay an agent commission. So you pop a property in, as long as it matches the area and the price range of the houses they're looking for, it'll immediately kick out a 90% of market value offer, which is pretty good if you're looking for cash offers. I don't think many people are going to argue with a cash offer at 90% of market value. You get the appointment. If they don't want 90% of market value, they want 94% of market value after listing and paying closing costs and commissions, list the house. This is an appointment getter. This is a door opener. All right. And I'm not going to hang out on there. We can come back to that or YouTube in a little bit, but let's go to Gio real quick.
Hey guys, I'm butting in here with a quick ask. If you're getting value out of this coaching today, I want to invite you to check out my Probate Mastery trainings over at www.probatemastery.com.
Probate Mastery is for you if you're an agent or an investor that wants to work with motivated sellers that have inherited real estate that they don't need and in many cases can't afford. These sellers are more appreciative, willing to trust your expertise, and less likely to nickel and dime you over commission or price. Why is that? They're often in the middle of a complex probate or an estate administration process, and this means that real estate is very often a burden on them, and they simply need the help. Inside of Probate Mastery, I teach you exactly where to source your leads, how to establish value, and offer your service in a way that quickly makes you, as the professional, your market's expert in the probate space. If you want to know a little bit more, go over to www.probatemastery.com. Hope to see you guys inside of the community. Thanks.
Hi guys. This is related more towards Bill and his online presence and how I got into the probate space was I had a referral from a family member to deal with a potential probate situation. And at that time, me and my broker didn't have much experience. And so what I did was I did a web search to find agents in the area that might actually kind of help me, or maybe I could send them a referral to do the probate referral that I received. And so my question is, do you receive agent referrals to do the actual listing? And do you do any marketing to your area agents to possibly get those referrals?
So I do one thing that has that effect, meaning I have a content strategy that results in people referring me business. So I do get realtors from out of the area who send me referrals occasionally. I get referrals from mortgage originators. I get referrals from, I'm with a large national company, from the brokers within our company. Unlike other companies, eXp is one big, large national company. So in California, we have 11 brokers, and I get referrals. I got a listing recently from one of them, helping one of our agents. So I'd say all the above. I do the same thing, and that's kind of the spin-off. My target, my bullseye, is an attorney who is the attorney representing a large estate in probate. But the little circles outside the bullseye are attorneys who have one-offs, or realtors have referrals, or other people have referrals. So I use the same strategy for all of it. I don't tailor anything to anybody.
Gotcha. Because at the time when I did the search and I called a few realtors that said they did probate, they really didn't have any expertise in probate. They were just using it as a marketing.
Correct.
And so again, my thought is, if there is a strategy to pick up those folks that would call me and work out a situation where they would refer me that client, that would be an easy probably more warmer lead than going after a probate cold.
This is one of those areas where I feel like the brokers who brought us into business misled us into thinking that it was a reasonable prospecting activity to call other realtors. The problem is most of the realtors don't do that much business. The average realtor in America, on average, does, I think, 3 or 4 deals a year. Half of them do 0. And then you say probate. Now, how many of them are probate? They might do, even those who do 10 a year, and say the probate experts might do 1 or 2 probates and 8 that are not. So really, now, on my video channel, I'm getting 3,000 views for 5 minutes on average. So think of the scale. You're calling 1 or 2 at a time, and I'm trying to get a video in front of thousands of realtors to get the one that has a referral. So I would just say I don't think calling them and talking to them individually is productive. I would say that everybody you meet should go into your, if you're hiring me as your coach, which you're not, I would say that everybody you meet should go into your database. Everybody who goes to your database should get your social media content. And to the extent you're valuable and useful, people will call you when they have problems. That's how we generate business. So I would say every realtor, I'm a listing agent. Every buyer's agent goes to my database. Every assistant buyer's agent, every TC, every escrow officer, every assistant escrow officer, every title rep, every insurance guy, every appraiser, every repairman, they all go to my database. And have I gotten deals from them? Yeah, some of them have called me out of something, right? So everybody meet at a RIA event. at a real estate investment event. Everybody goes in, they can unsubscribe, whatever. But the thing I think, Jim, I'm trying to press on you is the scale that it takes to make it into a business is way bigger to where just calling individual agents isn't going to be productive.
Gotcha. Thanks, Bill.
And I would agree with that, and I would add to that that a lot of people don't use you for what you want them to use you for because you haven't told them how you want them to utilize you. So I will take it out of probate and give you guys a couple of quick examples. When I was my best friend listed his house without me years ago, and bought another house without me. And at the time, I was doing 100 deals a year. Okay. And a lot of those were foreclosures. And every time I would interact with someone, I'd be like, oh, I got another foreclosure under contract, this and that. And went to dinner with him one night. And when we turned down his road, there was a for sale sign sitting in his yard. And the first thing I thought was, another listing agent hired a sign company to put a sign in the yard, and they put it in the wrong yard. Like that was how I gave no consideration to the fact that maybe he would have listed with someone else. None. And he invited me over to rub my nose in it and show me that his house was for sale. Okay. And I talked to him and he said, oh, Bruce, I didn't know you wanted my business. I didn't know you wanted it. And I learned right then that I needed to tell people what I wanted. There are people that would co-list or refer you that aren't doing it now because you don't tell them that that's what you're available for. And they don't know that that's what you're available for. I would completely agree that going and calling agents is probably never going to get you those referrals or those co-listings. And not never, very little. It's not worth the time that you would put into it. But if you network anyway and you create content and your content talks to agents to a degree, and you say, hey, here's the only thing. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I work probate and what you need to look for. But here's the thing. If you ever run into a probate and it feels like you're a little over your eyeballs in the lake, and you want to co-list with an agent, I want you to come to me. So tell them. And personally, I would do co-listings. I've gotten so much business by co-listing with new agents. And by new, it doesn't mean new in the business. Sometimes it just means new to probate. They get their first deal and they are just completely overwhelmed. I'm going to screw this up. I wish someone would just come along and co-list. And because I've told them through years of video and emails and coaching and interaction, I've told them, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're not sure how to list a house and you need someone to co-list, come to me and I'll co-list it. We'll do it 50-50 and I'll get a higher commission than you would have gotten anyway. And I get agents that come to me all the time and ask me to co-list deals. Now, I normally am not the person that says, hey, you got to give me the deal and I'll give you 25%. I'll usually say, let's use it as a learning experience. I'll get 50%, you get 50%. And then we'll just do the deal together. And that happens all the time for me because I've told them this is what I'm here for. Jonathan.
Yeah, hey, Bruce. It's funny. I think it was one of Bill's videos actually that made me find your program. I think I was watching it like 7 a.m. in the gym or something. So I think that's kind of cool.
Thanks, Bill.
Question. Yeah. So question for you. I sent out probably, 20, 30 resource packets, which most of those are just old leads or things that like new stuff people are actually interested. So the system's working. It's really cool right now. I think it's just a matter of like scaling it up. I got one deal from it. It was a referral, but I left a packet at the front door and she called me last week, ready for me to see the house because I think she needed time just to kind of sit in it and actually have paperwork that wasn't just like house related. So my question, I think I'm pushing stuff out to out of state probate people because that seems to be primarily, well, if I'm going to target anyone, that's the most likely. Would you include like your commission on that resource packet on the specific real estate page? Because I've got all the benefits. Because at this point, I've called them, I've tried reaching out, or they're just old leads. Like I kind of want to be more real estate forward. would you include like, hey, this is our minimum package at, 3.25, whatever percentage, and then list those details? Or would you just keep it, here are the benefits, call me if you want to talk commission, things like that?
So there's two schools of thought. For years, I ran with the Tim and Julie Harris, and I don't even know if they came up with it. I guarantee they didn't. It was probably one of the fairies or something. But the pre-listing packet. And in that pre-listing packet, we would say, here are your four options when selling a house. I could just put you in the MLS and assign in the yard for $997. I could list you on this plan for 2%, this plan for 3%, this plan for 5%. I mean, I don't even remember exactly what I put on there, and people really appreciated it. I do think that it probably the calls that I had that were ready to go on a packet like that, they took less work to get on the market and less convincing because they already knew. I worry, or I started to worry that I was missing people, that I took away their curiosity by showing too much information. So I have a general rule where I say, tell them what the dish is without telling them what the recipe is. So if you go to a restaurant, they don't say, we put a half a cup of olive oil in, we put 2 teaspoons of salt in, we put a teaspoon of garlic powder in. They don't do that. They just say, hey, this is a really great chef-inspired dish that's around sea bass, and it's got a bed of greens and some fennel. And you're like, oh man, that sounds great. Okay, they didn't tell you the recipe, they told you what it produced. Sometimes we, as agents and investors, get too much into the recipe when the person just wants to know what it produces. So I prefer to make big, bold claims on what my product is. So if I'm talking to a seller, rather than, hey, I'll list your house at 3.5% and I'll put a lockbox on the door, a sign in the yard, put it in the MLS, I'll syndicate to 165 sites, all that's recipe. I'll say, I'll get you top dollar in less than 14 days and I'll guarantee it. That's showing a dish. And then if they want to know more, they can call you, you can meet, and then you can go over how you do that. I would tend to lean away from putting too much of the how I do it in my packages, though. I would put what I do, not really how I do it. Good. And either I'm frozen or you're frozen. I'm not sure which one. Hopefully that makes sense. I have gone the way of being very transparent with pricing and different things multiple times. I like the idea of it. The problem is it just takes away people's curiosity often. And I'd rather them be curious about how I'm going to produce a result that I claim I can produce.
That makes sense. So, for example, we don't want to get too much to it, but I kind of have listing package traditionally starts at 3% and 3.5 and 3.25. Sorry, it includes complimentary pre-listing assistance to help with those personal items. We talk about photography, 3D walkthroughs, personalized marketing strategies. Should I just minimize that down maybe to specific claims of what it actually produces for them, kind of without getting to, hey, this is what a person's marketing plan would include. Nobody cares necessarily what you're going to do in a house, and this, and this, and this, and this. So I think maybe that's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Your house is going to get sold. Okay.
Yeah, house is going to get sold. I'm going to get you an offer. Anyone that's in a Mark Spain market knows that Mark Spain's USP is extremely simplistic, annoyingly simplistic. Call Mark Spain, start packing for a guaranteed offer on your home. That's it. It's crazy simple. I don't like it. Okay. But it works. It's very simple. So for me, I might say something like, most agents offer cookie cutter packages that are one size fits all and aren't tailored to your needs at all. If you want multiple different options on selling your house for as little as 0%, call me. So as little as 0%, that's not my claim, but that's an example. For as little as 0%, why is someone not going to go, I got to find out what this is? That's the goal of marketing. I got to find out what this is. So slip something in there that makes someone go, I need to figure out what's going on with that. I need to figure out why there's a guarantee, why he's willing to eat the commission, why it might be 0%, why he's offering pay my probate expenses. Um, those are just sort of bonus USPs. You don't have to use any of those big bold claims, but I like big claims as long as I can back them up. I don't just throw a claim out there and then go, I'm going to ignore it now. but I typically start with a big claim and then I go, how can I back this up? Can I make this happen? And if the answer is yes, then I use the claim in my marketing.
Cool. Sounds good. Sorry, I had to switch Wi-Fi, so I took my video off. Last thing, as far as like hiring, one of my biggest problems right now is I'm just everything, and obviously I want to expand into video and client interviews and attorneys and things like that. But just to get to that point where the machine is running enough, I kind of have to right now. What's your opinion, advice on getting a calling assistant? Makes sense. Because that's a huge investment. I've tried using callers before, and man, it's hard to like work with one who's doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Any
It is
thoughts
the
on that?
hardest. Yeah, it's the hardest thing to get right. When it's right, and then you better hope you keep them.
Yeah.
It's tricky to get right, and I've done multiple different things. I've had U.S. based ISAs that I paid $60,000 a year to, and they earned another 40 in bonuses that worked really well. And then I've had three of them that I paid the same thing to that didn't work very well, and they were the equivalent of having someone overseas for $5 an hour. I would have gotten the same results. Okay. I've had folks overseas that grew up in the States and I paid $15 an hour to that worked really well, and some that didn't work well. I've had $5 an hour ISAs overseas that worked really well. I've had $5 an hour ISAs that were a waste. I've had $3 an hour ISAs that produced at the same level as the $80,000, $60,000 a year girl in the States. So it's really, I don't want to say it's hit and miss, and I don't want to scare anyone because it's not scary. There's some good ISAs that are both stateside and offshore. The biggest thing that you have to worry about first is what system are you going to use to call, and how are you going to keep your phone numbers clean? So we have just gotten away from Just Call, which was the dialer system that we were using because our phone numbers would get burned as spam within a day. And it was costing us way too much money to replace phone numbers every day. So I've just moved into Mojo, which I've had in the past. Apparently, they keep your phone numbers clean. If anyone's using it and not keeping phone numbers clean, I want to hear about it. But recently, we've moved into a more traditional dialer that claims that they're going to keep your number clean. They're basically whitelisting your number and registering it with the different carriers. So a little bit more expensive on the dialers. And then some ISAs jump in and they make 40 calls an hour, and they get a 7 or 8% answer rate on their calls. Other ISAs make 7 calls an hour. So what I would probably do is tie compensation to the number of calls. So this is what we do: is we tie compensation to the number of calls, as long as they stay over a particular conversation rate. So I am looking for 7% of dials to result in a 1 minute or longer conversation, which is not a phenomenal conversation, but at least they're not hanging up on you. If I can keep you on the phone for a minute, I'll keep you on the phone for 3 or 4 and kind of get some kind of a result out of it. So I'm looking for 7% of dials to result in a conversation of more than a minute. And if they're staying above that 7% threshold, then I will pay them their rate for a certain number of calls. My number of calls is 35. So every 35 dials you make, I'll pay you $10 an hour. You might say 15, 20, 5. Up to you. But I pay $10 for every 35 calls, as long as they're having conversations of more than a minute on 7% of their dials. I then put multipliers on their compensation if they pass over certain percentages of those dials as leads. So if 2% of their dials result in a lead that they hand through to me, I'll put a 25% compensation bonus on top of the $10 I give them. So now all of a sudden it's $12.50 every 35 calls they make. If they convert 4% of their dials into leads, then I'll do 50% comp bonus. So now they're making $15 on every 35 dials they make, and so on. So there's million different strategies that you can use for comp. I would suggest if you get someone good, you pay them, you find a way to pay them more than market for where they live. And I would try to
Makes sense.
be significantly higher than market for where they live. So if they're in the Philippines and they average $6 an hour, I'd try to get them at 10 if they perform. And if they don't perform, then I need to sniff it out really quickly.
Okay. Would you hire a admin assistant before you went to the marketing side? Just because that's eating up a lot of my time. Like I'd prefer to be on the phone if I had to do something.
Yeah.
Would you pay them about the same, or what does your compensation look like there? Are they in MLS doing inputs and writing stuff like that, or are they just doing more managing the marketing?
Can I help
Bill,
answer this one?
Please, yes.
Done a lot of coaching on virtual assistants. A couple of things I recommend is definitely start with your admin work. Make a list of everything you do, and there's 2 columns: what you should be doing and what you should be doing. Anything you shouldn't be doing, anything you should be doing should be relating to customers, talking to customers, thinking time, preparing strategies. All the admin work, ideally, you shouldn't be doing, and then you can start with the low hanging fruit. Rather than finding somebody who can do everything, I like to use Upwork and I hire 3 people to do the same kind of group of tasks. And I keep the one that's the best. I test them for, $5 an hour for 5 hours is $25. So run 3 of them, pick the best one, and now you have somebody who can do that task. And I hire them for individual tasks rather than for work. I rather find multiple good VAs than have just one superstar. One superstar eventually leaves you or something happens. So that's my strategy in a nutshell is use Upwork.com to start. Hire for individual small pieces of tasks. If you find yourself spending a lot of time doing something, if you can explain to somebody else how to do it and give them the resources, let them do it for $5 an hour. And they're typically going to be administrative, repetitive tasks.
Awesome,
I agree.
Thank you. As far as like broker stuff, when they're in the MLS, is that a special? I'm assuming that's like a broker assistant. Like I don't want to just give a normal VA access because I do use Upwork. Actually, it's great. I have someone that's been with me for a few years. She's awesome, but I'm hesitant to just give her like, hey, fill out this property MLS intake form for me. Is that like a different type of assistant? I'm assuming.
You can have them do it and keep the MLS in, at least in mine, you can have like as a preview mode or it's not finished. I think the exact term they use for it. So you can input everything and have it ready. And then the VA lets you know to go and look at it afterwards and decide, yes, it's approved or no, it's not approved. And you can then train them on what the mistakes they made were to get out of that.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
But you may have challenges getting your access to your MLS because usually they want to charge for an assistant. They want them join as an assistant. So just giving them your MLS access may or may not work.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Love it. All right. Thanks for the questions. Let's go to V. And we're up against the top of the hour. So this will be the last question for the hour. Go for it.
Hi, Bruce. How you doing?
Really good. What's happening?
So I just have a question for you regarding, the fact that you said that you're using Mojo Dialer now. I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit to how that has changed, like your strategy. Like I know you had, curiosity before and you called multiple times. So are you just like leaving a message on the first, you get into voicemail and just leaving a message? What does that message sound like? Like, just could you update us on how the strategy has been
So
changed?
Mojo is something that we literally just moved to over the last week. We've set it up for 3 or 4 days, and then we tested it for an hour or 2 a day for 3 or 4 days, working out kinks, figuring out how we were going to do it. Now, I think it's important that you guys do understand that I am running several ISAs. So what I have is an ISA. ISA A is going to work through list A. ISA B works through list B. ISA C works through list C. And then what they do is they just round robin. So ISA C is going to move to list A, ISA A is going to move to list B, and they just go through that so that we're still calling each lead between 2 and 4 times a day. I do think it's important that if somebody sees and misses your call once today and they've missed your call, that they see your number again today while it's semi-fresh on their mind. I would prefer that they see your number 3 or 4 times the day that they miss your call. I would prefer that. There's some potential spam flagging issues with getting up into 3 calls or 4 calls to the same lead. Our numbers were getting flagged as spam. I love the strategy of it because people go, man, I've missed this call like 4 times today. I got to take it. I got to figure out what's going on. We were getting 50 and 60% connection rates, which is unheard of in calls. But the carriers were flagging our phone numbers as spam. So Mojo apparently claims that they can keep our numbers clean. I can't verify that. That's their claim because we just haven't done it enough. But we're still trying to call 2 to 3 times a day if they miss our call. We're still dropping a message. If we call you today and we're going to call you another time or 2, we're going to drop at least 1 message and preferably personally recorded. So it needs to say, I was looking for Mr. Smith. Okay, this is Andrew with Estate Aid Network. Okay, so I want it to be a recorded, not just a click and drop message. We're not using the power dialer function because I still like my ISAs to know who they're calling and be able to take a quick glance at notes. One of the problems with power dialers is you hear hello, and then you look down and you go, oh crap, I don't know how to pronounce this name. Okay. And you've got a live person on the phone. You have no idea what's going on. So I typically prefer the click to call function, but with Mojo, we're actually speeding our calls up from 20 to 25 calls an hour up to 30 to 40 calls an hour. So it's increasing our efficiency by a decent margin just using the click to call. And then we go through our leads for a month, and at the end of a month, if they haven't engaged, we move them into a mailing campaign.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Hopefully that answered the question. And I said that would be the last question, but Frank, if you want to go, try to keep it to about 2 minutes if possible, as long as I can keep my answer somewhat short.
Yes, sir. I was just with Mojo. They constantly monitor it. So I've had mine flagged, but they constantly monitor it. Then it gets unflagged or whitelisted is what they call it. So it does happen, but they take care of it. I just want to throw that in there.
Oh, good. So good to hear. I've been a little worried about that because I haven't found a dialer yet that keeps your numbers all the way clean. So as long as they've got a way of cleaning it back up, it's amazing.
100%. It happens it's happened to me when I had Vulcan. It happens and then they fix it. Now, while they say it's whitelisted, I'm just going to guess like if you get somebody, they get mad, whatever, and they block you and the carrier knows they blocked you, then somebody else might block you a couple of days later. I think that's how we get flagged. But either way,
Yeah.
Thank you, Bruce.
It is. There's also AI, so it's blocks, but there's also AI software that the carriers have been implementing a lot recently. And the software is essentially saying you are acting like you're selling something. So you're not using normal call patterns. You've made 20 dials for an hour, and then the next hour you made another 20 dials. Obviously, you're calling. You're on a campaign. So we're gonna flag you as possible spam, and they've gotten so robust with that software that's tracking your call patterns that if a phone number gets flagged really fast, and it's not only on blocks anymore. But as long as you've got a system that can keep it clean or get it clean, if you ever get flagged, that's the best thing that we can hope for. So good, appreciate that, Frank. All right, thank you guys so much. We will be back here next Tuesday, 2:00 Eastern time, for another round. So bring your questions, and we'll see you then. Thanks so much, Bill, for joining and giving so much feedback, and everybody else that asked questions.
Thank you.